things are made from one, and in the end, all things return to one.
In other words, one is all.
Indeed, and all is one as well.
All is ultimately of the one. So if all is not included in the one, then all is nothing.
You have passed.
Now it's the vibrate. Y'all know what it is. As above, so below, as within, so without. Mythology is anatomy by law. You do the same thing to the cells in your body that this earthly plane, in essence, does to us as cells of its body. And what I mean by that, again, with the analogies to, being in like a cell or like a prison, in essence, a light prison. You do the same thing to your cells as this realm does to us, in the sense of, like, say, for instance, ask yourself, would you be okay if all of the cells in your body became individually aware that it was more than just being in your body, and they all decided to disperse, aka they all decided to just kind of basically start detaching and leaving from the whole body, in essence, and to give a visual effect of this, and I done used this as an example before from the movie Lucy. When Lucy started to get to a certain high vibratory state, you know what I'm saying? Her cells started to kind of, in essence, individualize, in the sense of, becoming so consciously aware that they were kind of going on their own little mission, and you do the same thing to your cells as this realm does to, our body or our being as a cell, in the sense of like that energy where it feels like, dang, you gotta stay here, or like it's certain things. Say, for instance, there's certain things within the body that provokes or promotes. Let's just say promotes. There's certain things within our body, in essence, that promote the cells to stay and to go with the program, with the algorithm, in essence, we talk about circadian rhythms and all the little rhythms within the body, but the cells in the body, are provoked to stay in line, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, don't get too individual, or there's gonna be some type of consequences with you just, trying to leave the body like that, Because ultimately, with us now as the vibrate, you're present in this bodysuit. You're here for a reason. And part of that reason is like having that understanding of like, what I'm explaining right now, and like just understanding how, the mirror effect of like what you don't want done to yourself is possibly what you're doing to a smaller aspect of your being, so like the way you may feel like one should be able to just up and leave this realm at any moment that they want to, you also got to consider, well, all right, then what if the cells in your body individually wanted to up and leave when you wasn't ready, like say, for instance, as a consciousness of the whole body. Let's say you wasn't ready for each cell to individualize and just go out on their own. How would that make you feel? Now, some just to be, in the sense of like being right. Like, oh, I wouldn't mind if all my cells just up and left whenever they wanted to, now you could say that, but would you really be down for that if it started to happen? You know what I'm saying? And again, like on Lucy, the movie Lucy, she had to keep taking that, what it was, CPH4, if I'm not mistaken. It was some type of hormone in connection with pregnant women. But, she had to keep taking the CPH4, taking that chemical in order to kind of keep herself from basically dispersing, keeping her cells together in her body, in essence, aka in essence keeping her cells in the imprisonment of her body, you know, and keeping them from having an individual, or let's just say keep them from leaving individually, because that's the balance of things. The cells are allowed to have somewhat of an individual experience while in our bodysuit, but yet not completely free, you know, in that sense, you know, not completely free. And that goes to the whole, you know, free will or destiny type of conversation as well. You know, and does a cell have the free will to do whatever it wants, you know? Again, and you could just understand this whole interaction through paying attention to how it works inside of your body. So again, you doing the same thing to the cells in your body that this being that we're in, this plane of existence realm, you know, that we're in, law of correspondence, you know, the same being that we're in is doing the same thing to us as a cell, you know. And you see, again, the whole balance of, yes, sometimes your cells operate without you telling it exactly what to do. You know, sometimes you operate in this realm without the earth, in essence, we say earth for lack of a better word, you know. Sometimes you do whatever you want to do without the earth telling you exactly what to do in certain moments, you know. Or you acting off of your own individual perspective instead of the whole picture perspective, you know. Simply put, like the earth preserving itself through being healthier, but you have the choice to throw down trash and be sloppy and not take care of yourself, you know. But that's just a simple little reminder, you know, again, constantly going in on the law of correspondence. That's my thing. It comes easy. That's what I do. We talk about purpose and getting in the flow state and, you know, what you're naturally gifted at. I'm naturally gifted at just getting or just unfolding, you know, knowledge when it comes to the law of correspondence and how and sharing it in such a manner where you could also do this for yourself and you don't have to depend on me. You know, word to the Full Metal Alchemist tongue. You don't have to depend on me to keep doing videos to ultimately, you know, have this awareness and decipher this knowledge for yourself. But you are doing the same thing to the cells in your body as this earthly plane in this realm is asking of you. Just like how you asking your cells to show up every day and not just disperse on their individual, you know, or disperse to go on whatever the individual thing they would like to disperse for. Same thing in this realm, you know. And also paying attention to or deciphering things through the facts. Again, the 7 principles, 7 universal laws, you know, some call it the Hermetic principles, and that's why it's also the terminology hermetically sealed, you know. But these are facts. It's a fact that the law of vibration, that everything vibrates. It's a fact. You can see it, touch it, and taste it with your own two eyes that the law of polarity exists. You know, you got hot water, you got cold water, you got day and you got night. That's a fact. Now here's what people, and as I say this, I'm like this too. You know, as far as like the universal laws may not exist beyond being in this realm. But now it's to vibrate, and we are in this realm right now. So, you know, we have to go off of the facts that exist in this realm, or the laws that exist in this realm. You know, rules could be broken, but laws are what they are. You know, if somebody make a rule to say, hey, you can't spit on the sidewalk, the fact that I could hock up a big loogie and spit on the sidewalk means that that's not like a law, because I could break that law. So it's more likely a rule that somebody created from their own little perspective of saying what they don't want you to do or what they want you to do, you know. But a law, you know, again, the law of gender, where everything has a masculine and feminine, you know, aspect to it, a yin and yang aspect. That's, you see that everywhere. You know, it got a plug and it got a socket, you know. you got a yoni and a phallus, you know what I'm saying? Those are facts. And always, you know, remembering to pay attention to the facts, you know. Because also, to take it on another level too, when we talk about archons and all this, it's basically astrology. Again, like learning astrology or paying attention to your natal chart is like being aware of the movement of the archons, in essence, you know, and understanding that the archons exist within you first and foremost. And ultimately, though, like even when we talk about soul contracts, this goes to the video I did a while back about the 12 movie specialists and this earthly plane being like a stage for a movie, you know. And on a deeper esoteric level, you know, that's something that Shakespeare kind of knew of. He was connected with John Dee, who was, you know, famous for connecting with the Enochian magic. And speaking again, Enochian or Enoch, the book of Enoch is connected to speaking on astrology, in essence. Again, the angels are angles, are the degrees within the zodiac wheel, you know. The arcs, like, you know, an arc is within, you know, a matter of fact, you see how it's just multiple layers to it, because an arc is also a part of a storyline in anime. You know, it is also an archetype that's a part of the zodiac wheel, you know what I'm saying, or the archetype wheel, you know. But for relatability, everybody relates to it as the zodiac signs. I say archetypes, you know. But archetypes, archons, you know what I'm saying, that's all the same thing. You know, your contract, you know, of reincarnation, again, it's like, oh man, I didn't get to do that, I get to do this. So you in essence like sign up with a certain archon, a certain archetype, and say, all right, I'm gonna be more emotional in an Aries type of manner. So I'm gonna put my moon in, you know, I'm gonna come through the portal when the moon is in Aries. I'm gonna come into the earthly plane when Sagittarius is ascending over the horizon, and make that my first house, you know. So my personal perspective and views about things could be more so from an expansive traveling sense of things, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, like, and simply put, like, sometimes it's not as deep. And I feel like some of us, because we have this knack for like feeling like, oh man, it can't be that easy, you know, like it can't be that simple. In a lot of cases, a lot of stuff is that simple, you know, as far as like, you know, what has been shared already, literally, you know, that's it. For the most part, we're just continuously breaking down what has already been talked about. You know what I'm saying? What we already done said, you know, again, taking different angles of perspective, you know what I'm saying? Coming at it from different angles to get a 360 degree, a full circle, you know, or a ring, you know what I'm saying? Becoming the lord of the ring, but not in a unhealthy manner, but you know, not because again, it might have lord of the ring or the zodiac ring or wheel that may be trying to be more controlling or more dictator like, you know. And again, bring that back full circle. Are you being like a dictator to your bodysuit? Are you being like a dictator to your mind, body, and soul? Because if you are, then you will see how much it doesn't make sense to complain about dictatorship outside of you if you being a you know, extreme dictator with how you manage your, you know, your experience internally, you know. Are you being a dictator to the cells in your body? Or do you have the balance of discipline and fun? You know, you allow for harmony to exist. You know, you have an integral, harmonized experience within your being where, you know, certain parts of you, like all the different parts of you, get to experience something that they like, you know. Or it like, you know, like all these aspects of yourself, all these dimensions of yourself, quote unquote, past lives, if you want to use that terminology, you know, all these different dimensions, though, we'll say that, all these dimensions of yourself that simultaneously exist in one moment because, again, ultimately in this realm, yes, time does exist, but, you know, the dimension, all these different dimensions, again, your past life, your inner child exists right now. Right now, you could go into a meditation and hug your inner child. Right now, you know what I'm saying? You could do something that creates your future and, you know, helps the quote unquote old man or old woman that you're going to turn out to be, you know. If you're choosing to, you know, however long you choose to be in this experience, but again, just using that as an example, you know. But you're harmonizing all those different parts of yourself. So you doing the same thing that the same way this earthly plane, you know, affects our bodies or us as cells within this body that's called the earthly plane. You know, it's the same way you're treating the cells within your body, and just bringing it back to the perspective of how you in essence, you're keeping your cells, you're keeping the life force within your body imprisoned by continuing to want to live your life in essence. And let's keep it, you know what I'm saying? Let's keep it full in the explanation of this. I am not subtly implying, you know, any type of suicide or harming yourself or anything. It's just, again, paying attention to the perspective of like how you're asking your cells or the life force in your body to stay in a imprisonment, you know, just as much as you would, you know, feel some kind of way about being in this realm. you're asking your cells and your body to do the same thing by showing up every day, you know. And again, you start to see the beauty of the experience just by, you know what I'm saying, like how much we do learn. Like, yeah, it might be, you know, little tricks and all kind of, you know, tough lessons, so to speak. But ultimately, you know, it's a great learning experience, you know. For those who admire, you know, gaining knowledge, wisdom, awareness of self, you know, could see how this realm is really, you know, like, yeah, it could be challenging, but, you know, it promotes a lot of knowledge and awareness and wisdom. Having a, you know, a unique perspective on things. But you're doing the same thing to your cells and your body. And again, as I brushed on astrology a little bit, you know, the zodiac signs are within the body. Your Pisces is the feet, Aries is the head. You know, both energies, and look at how the body, again, the anatomy is the mythology by law. Now, this may not be in a mythological story the way I'm about to explain this, but say, for instance, Pisces energy and Aries energy both represent isolation in some way. Now, when you look at your body, say, for instance, you look at your body, every other archetype has an archetype on both sides of it. Meaning that your Aquarius part of your body, so that's like your shins. Your shins has feet on one side of it, or Pisces on one side of it, and then on the other side it has knees, or Capricorn on the other side of it. So your shins have two different zodiac signs on each side of it, you know. But your feet only touches your shin, but then nothing else, or not say nothing else, but as far as your body concerned, you know, it's your feet, then it's outside of your body, or, you know, again, the ground or the earth, you know what I'm saying? But in essence, the Pisces part of your body, the feet kind of has somewhat of an isolated experience, you know, it's not encased in between the zodiacs or other parts of the body. And the same thing with your head, you know, like, yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah, the Taurus energy of like the shoulder, neck, chin area, you know what I'm saying? It's encased in between the Gemini area of the body and the Aries part of the body. But the Aries part of the body, you know, it's kind of isolated. You know, your head doesn't have nothing above it. You know, it's like, bam, your head, and that's it. You know, your feet, and that's it. And looking at the archetypes as far as how they connect with isolation is in two different ways. You know, one is isolation more so for a meditative, inner creative type of energy, like a introverted type of isolation. So Pisces energy is kind of like making sure you have your alone time, to make sure your ideas is your ideas, to make sure that you're understanding yourself, you know, the 12th house or Pisces also deals with hidden enemies, and hidden enemies is more so of an internal thing first, because a quote unquote enemy outside of you can only hide from you if you're not aware of your hidden enemies within. If you're not aware that subtly on a subconscious level, your worst enemy is that if a person gives you a compliment, you just automatically just open the doors to them. If you're not aware of that little hidden enemy within you, then hidden enemies outside of you could use compliments to, soothsay you or whatever, and, get you to be open to something that you may not want to be open to, but again, you got to take care of that internally. But the isolation is more of a meditative, inner work, subconscious type of level. While Aries is isolation, and again, just like Pisces is isolation on a more inner level, that's not to say it won't have an outward action, but it's more introverted than extroverted. While the Aries energy is isolation, that's more extroverted than introverted. It taps into, like seeing things your way, your own ideas, the Aries, the round button heads with people, because it's like, hey, it's my perspective, or I'm a lead and be head first and be innovative, but it's more so from an active perspective and an action oriented, going outward, type of energy. But it's still isolation, because again, like, it's leading, and it's isolation from the perspective of making sure that it's only, it's isolating its personal views and its perspectives, and not getting caught up in the wash of what everybody else think he or she should do. Aries, like, man, I'm gonna do this my way. So it's isolation from that perspective and from an active perspective. But again, you look at your body, and the Aries is the head, and the feet is Pisces. Again, both of those parts of the body are more isolated than the other parts of the body. Now, I will put an asterisk by that and say that also the Gemini energy kind of has this going forward to some extent. When we think about our hands, or our arms, our hands, in essence, it's isolated, it's the end, it's the edge, there's nothing outside of our hands, the hands is like its end point, so it's kind of isolated and has like that same perspective. In essence, it's also like a higher level to our feet, because our hands is almost just like our feet, just above, as above, so below. You got feet on the lower part of your being, you got feet at the higher part of your being, or you could see it the opposite way. You got hands up high, and you got hands at the bottom of your body, But, you just see, again, like, the body has the storylines within it. The storylines of mythology is in your anatomy. Those archons, archangels, all that, that's the zodiac. That's, again, the contracts of, quote unquote contracts of a soul sign to incarnate in this realm. It's connected with those archons, or those, those archangels, that's a part of the zodiac wheel. And again, it could be used as a tool to help you understand yourself and help you to not reincarnate. Because again, it's neither good or bad. It only becomes bad whenever, you're not aware of the full picture. So it becomes something that's quote unquote bad, But you're doing the same thing to the cells in your body that this being or this earthly plane is doing to you as a cell in its body. So that's just something to be aware of, you know. Matter of fact, this Saturn stationing direct in Pisces, thinking about the karmic energy, and Pisces is like a culmination point. You know, Pisces, the end is the feet, you know what I'm saying? It's the last part, hence why the archetype does represent being very empathetic and compassionate towards others, because the Pisces archetype represents seeing the full circle. It's like I done went from 1 to 12. You know, I done went from the head to the feet, and now the feet touching the head again, in the sense of like I done seen the full circle, you know. So I understand what Aries go through, what the Taurus archetype goes to, or you could again see it as a numerology aspect as well, and seeing the science of how that connect. Because even as I just brought that up, you know, an aha moment came up where it's like, all right, you know, Pisces is considered the 12th zodiac sign, which is connected to the feet. And 12, when you doing numerology, that breaks down, you know, simplified into 3. And 3 is the energy of Gemini. And I know coincidence that I just brought up earlier, that the feet and the hands are somewhat connected. So here it is where, you know, Pisces, the 12th sign, connected to the feet, and Gemini, the 3rd archetype or sign, connected to the hands. You know, so you see the science of numerology right there as well. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's always pretty cool to, you know, just peep out the different sciences and how the mythology and anatomy connects. And again, the Saturn and Pisces going direct. Or if you into Vedic or sidereal, it would be Saturn in Aquarius. But ultimately, you know, with the whole Saturn and Pisces energy, you know, it's a transmutation of no more savior, martyrdom, or victimhood types of energies. It's the understanding that nobody is coming to save you, and you shouldn't be trying to quote unquote save others. And with Saturn there, it's like the karma of people. And you could say when Saturn has been in retrograde in Pisces, it's like it's been a review of that energy of seeing how we've been like karmically tied to being, you know, saviors, trying to save somebody. Because again, I done brought up that toxic relationship of the empath, where the empath like, oh, I'm an empath, I could feel things, so it's my job to try to save the world. It's like, no. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you maintain compassion, but ultimately do what you love, do what puts you in the flow state. You know, it's not meant for you to be doing something because you think that's what's going to save the world. You know, it's doing it because you love to do it, doing it again because you get into that flow state, you know, in that flow state. To get a little deep on it, you know, like as being very present. Now is the vibrate, being so in the moment, so in the flow state that you're immersed. You're so immersed that you forget about your toughest problems. You forget what quote unquote they are doing, like they are the government and all that shit. You forget about that when you're in the flow state. You're not even thinking about, like, you could have been going through some of the most traumatic things, or your thoughts been trying to, you know, like negative thoughts been trying to come up on some harsh levels. But when you get into that flow state, man, you done forgot about all of that. And that's how you know what's a part of, what you're meant to do, or your soul purpose, or, doing what you love, because you tap into that flow state. But again, back to the whole Saturn Pisces thing, it's going to be seen also in a lot of like spiritual businesses. So like if certain spiritual businesses presents itself as a savior, and again, no judgment towards anybody going through this or probably still within this energy, but just keeping it, real, because true love is me keeping it real, not me acting like I don't know what I know, or, not saying the truth, because ultimately you're going to have to change because of this truth, because I would want the same for me, like I would want to know if I'm not in alignment with something I'm doing, so I could be doing what's best for me. You know what I'm saying? But again, certain spiritual businesses that may do things as if it's saving others, that's gonna come to an end, or get continued if people, want to reincarnate into that contract, But it's like, if whatever business you offer spiritually causes you or somebody else to be like a martyr, if it causes you or somebody else to be like a victim, if it causes you or somebody else to be like a savior, it's the chance to end that karmic cycle. And I'm pretty sure, again, like some awareness has been shined in that area. And now that Saturn is going direct or moving forward, you could kind of see like, all right, I could let this go. Again, the karma of letting go of the savior archetype. It's the karma of letting go of that energy of sacrificing your happiness to save others. Now you have the ability to no longer sacrifice your happiness to save others, because it ain't your job to save others. That's that old Jesus program. Hence why, again, the whole age of Pisces and Jesus being depicted with the fish. And I brought up that in that trickster video recently, like that's the trick. The trick is either to try to create a scapegoat, aka the Capricorn, Saturn, Satan energy of like, oh, it was them, the Saturn made me do it, or the devil made me do it. Again, it was because of the planet Saturn and all that karmic shit is why I did it. Like it's no scapegoating. And there's no like, oh, I'm gonna just wait for the savior to come and save me. I'm gonna wait for the sun, to come and save. I'm gonna wait for the new year when the sun is in Aries. I'm gonna, what I'm saying? But it's like, no, it's not getting caught up in external savior or scapegoating and blaming anybody. And a lot of us are going to be paying attention to the subtleties of, again, those hidden enemies. That hidden enemy that's been keeping us in. So not only, again, like 12th house Pisces energy of hidden enemies, but then also Pisces 12th house energy of like how you've been either being in victimhood, martyrdom, or how you've been in like the savior energy. And letting that go, And Pisces being that culmination point, again, like, after a culmination, going through all of these other parts, get to the 12th or the end with Pisces, and it's like, all right, now I see, going into the depths of the subconscious with a little bit more compassion, In essence, that's what the archetype represents, that water sign. You got Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Pisces is like being able to dive deep in that water without kind of getting stuck deep in that water. And Pisces is kind of the energy of like, all right, now let's see what you have gathered from all of these experiences. And again, with Saturn energy, and again, it's from tropical perspective, because I'm certain if a person is very, very strict on their side, real vibes, they're like, no, but when you look in the sky, Saturn is really in Aquarius, like, and you can see it as that too, like, all right, coming out of the Pisces type of energy, and tapping into the Aquarius age, in essence, And that's a deeper thing to get into, but I'm not going to get too deep into it, but just to raise that question of, we speak on how everything starts within first and then projects externally second. Then what does that say about sidereal astrology? Not saying that it's fake because of this notion I'm raising, but, if the things outside of us is second to what's going on inside of us, then that would mean that the astronomy of what we see in the sky is second to our internal zodiac alignments, so to speak, but still has relevance and still, has some form of connections, but that's also a thing. And let me say that again, the sidereal, yes, Aquarius is, or should I say Saturn is in Aquarius in the sky, but then ultimately, I always remember the fact of that, all of us, most of us, could agree upon the fact that it starts internally first and externally, and that the external experience is a projection, an outward projection, secondly, of what's going on inside of us. So what that would mean, and I ain't even saying tropical is what's, the tropical understanding of astrology is what's inside of us. But what I can say is, though, just simply, what's going on inside of us is the more important astrology. And I guess that will go to, again, your natal chart, like the way things lined up in the sky whenever you were born, and how that connects with you. Or from the viewpoint, of like the earthly, like standing on earth from the view. And that's the thing too, the sidereal still has its relevance. But I'm not even going to go too deep into that. Just remembering that the anatomy tells the story. The anatomy is the mythology, law of correspondence. And right now, with this Saturn direct and Pisces energy, no more savior, no more martyrdom, no more victimhood type of energies, no more sacrifice. Most importantly, especially coming and matter of fact, like I did a video about that, a simple video about Mimo magic, and Mimo, as above, so below, as within, so without. And this also kind of connects to Full Metal Alchemist, the anime Full Metal Alchemist, and ley lines and magical circles being made through rituals being done in certain areas of a land. So, say for instance, again, Mimo magic, Mimo is the quote unquote like little gnome or little human looking figure that's created when you look at even though it's imaginary boundaries, the boundaries of the states that go along the Mississippi River. So I think it's what it is, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana. And the acronym comes out to MIMAL, MIMAL. And I was bringing up the Pisces energy, and the Pisces energy is connected to, Louisiana from that perspective. Like, again, you have this little human-like figure created by these imaginary lines, the magic of somebody saying, hey, these imaginary lines are called states, just like a state of being, like a certain state of being, a certain energy of being, created by these imaginary lines. But in Louisiana, Louisiana is the boot, it's the foot, which would be connected to Pisces energy, and speaking to the sacrificing your happiness to save others. That energy is a big thing out this way, especially when it comes to like, the over mothering, and again, no coincidence that also the landscape and the weather speaks to this. It rains, even though this year it's been a shift in the energy, speaking of balancing things out. But for the most part, like, Louisiana is like, just like a rainforest to some extent. It just like this year, and I paid attention to it closely because I've been very present through every day of being here. And remembering my childhood and all my experiences through life being here. Like literally, this is the less rain I ever seen in my life, being in Louisiana. So that overbearing water energy is kind of, backing off a little bit. But literally, the water energy, and if I'm not mistaken, because Louisiana deals with a lot of forest, and greenery, and that deals with the Venus energy. And I was like, if I'm not mistaken, Venus is exalted in Pisces, but don't quote me, but that over mothering energy, that over watery energy, in Louisiana, and that energy of like holding yourself back, like, it's kind of somewhat this energy subtly of like being so strongly connected to your mother and your roots and what your family think, to the point of detriment, to the point where, if you're not aware to embrace your unique abilities and unique expression, you may hold yourself back. It's a you thing. Again, you got to realize that nobody's got chains on you, literally. Now, it might feel like energetic chains that's, trying to prevent you from doing certain things, but ultimately, it's something that you can't break out of, but again, it's like sacrificing your happiness to save others, or to do what, what the family wants you to do, or what your parents want you to do, It's like, no more of that. You have a chance to let go of that I'm going to sacrifice my happiness to save them type of energy. You know what I'm saying? We'll keep it at that point. So it's Saturn and Pisces shift, or just shifting the Pisces energy and shifting out of the Pisces age. This could be word to, again, Pluto movement, as well. But, as far as tropical, Pluto moving out of Capricorn and finally going into Aquarius. You're going to see a shift back into the energy, because also with Uranus and Taurus, you know, because I feel like it slowed down for a second, but it's going to get back to that energy, like the whole like cryptocurrency, or like just changing the way we deal with our material values and what we value materially, or what we kind of use as a form of exchange materially, like gonna have like, you know, a lot of big changes and stuff like that come into play. It's already started, but again, you can kind of sense with the retrograding energies that like the whole cryptocurrency, this, that, you know, some people always deal with it, of course, but I've noticed that, you know, some don't talk about it as much, you know, and haven't been for the last little, you know, couple months. But that shift coming into play as well. But, you know, yep, doing what you love, you know, not sacrificing your happiness to save others. Again, continuously understanding the law of correspondence. Anatomy is the mythology by law, and vice versa. You can't judge. I say you can't. It's not healthy to judge the earthly plane as being some type of all bad place or all bad type of being that we're in, you know, because ultimately you're doing the same thing to your cells in your body or in your realm that the earth is, you know, asking you to do as a cell of its body, you know. So now to vibrate, y'all know what it is. Peace.